Hey, what's happening? This is KLA Cloud the Wanderer. And that was the intro of my lovely guest, Michelle Fletcher, IFBB Pro Bikini. And yeah, she's here to tell her journey, how she became a bodybuilder. And yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I seen your interview with All the Rage George Page. Shout out to him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that
yeah.
was great.
Yeah, I know you also did. I seen a little bit of this interview that you did. I forgot his name, but yeah, you've been on like a
Master
couple of
Splinter.
interviews.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually just got to meet him at the Arnold. We crossed paths in the crowd, so that was cool. Got a picture together.
yeah. How did you
Yeah.
like the Arnold Classic?
Oh, I loved it. It was my second year going.
Okay,
It was great. It seemed a lot busier this year. So it was, I love it. It's like I walk in and I'm home. I love the vibe.
that's good. I mean, I noticed that there were more bodybuilders that was there, bodybuilding division. You know,
Mhm.
they were showing some love and stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So, I mean, was there anything that particularly that you liked, or you really can't
Um,
say?
Well, so for me, it's all about the expo because obviously I'm not competing at the Arnold, but the expo is just, I love it. The energy's great. The booths are like just rocking. Lots of free samples. Running into people I watch on YouTube and getting to meet them and take pictures and chat with them a bit. So just the whole excitement of being there and everybody kind of like-minded being in one place is always amazing. And then
Yeah,
Friday night when we arrived, because we drove from Canada, we did a Ambrosia Collective, who is it's a company with Mark Lobliner, who's one of the co-owners, had
okay.
a thing going on at one of the local gyms there. So we did that Friday night, and that was great. It was very intimate. They trained with everybody, did a little Q&A, and promoted their product, obviously. But it was really, it was a nice way to start the weekend. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was fantastic.
yeah. I seen some pictures and stuff like that that you
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is
that
cool.
this was actually from the Olympia last year.
Oh,
That's
okay,
Quentin. Yeah,
okay.
who we run into a lot at Pure Muscle and Fitness out in Burlington because it's about 40 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Now, I'm glad you had a good time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So, like for those who not familiar with you, how did you get started in bodybuilding?
So it goes back a long ways. My first, just to kind of skip forward a little bit, my first competition, it wasn't with the IFBB. It was about 1999, I believe, was my first show. I had been training for a few years before that, so I probably about 5 years, and I was a little bit bored in the gym. Felt like I needed to push myself a little bit more. I needed a goal, and I decided to compete with a new. At the time, they were a new federation. I think it was WNSO, and they're not around anymore. They didn't last too long, but
Mm,
it was more like a fit model division, and it was great. Like I didn't look anything obviously like I do now, but it was a great way just to get introduced to the whole um, competition, tanning, bikini, dieting. And I didn't have a coach for that one, did it myself. Didn't, like I said, didn't know much at the time. There was no internet YouTube videos to watch and pros really to follow back then for me. So it was a lot of self learning and just going out there and having fun. Um, and then after that, I did two more shows. Again, not with the IFBB. I didn't even really know what the IFBB was at that point back in like
yeah,
99, 2000. And I always thought it was like way beyond my level. I thought it was just pros. Um, so it wasn't I didn't even think of, starting with it would be the CPA for me, here, Canadian Physique Alliance. And actually back then, I think it was at, I forget what the federation was, but it was even a different federation. So didn't know about them, but did a couple shows and then kind of got busy with life. So I competed, probably 2000 and what year would have been, because it was right after I had my son. So I had my son in 2001. I did a show, let's say maybe 2002, so about 8 months after I had my son, just to get myself back in shape.
Yeah.
And then I did one show after that, and then kind of hung up the shoes, to raise the kids. My husband, came with two young children at the time that I was raising. So, yeah, I gave it up and then I came back to the scene in 2017 after I had, befriended a couple in the gym I was at, and they were just getting their feet wet and competing. And we were chatting, and I said, "Oh, I used to compete, and I loved it, and I miss it." And so my girlfriend was like, "Well, I have a really good coach. Why don't you compete again?" And after some thought, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something for me, and try it again. So that's kind of when I started with the IFBB, took it more serious, had a real coach, and it kind of took off from there. And I actually started in women's physique and figure, because I was a little bit bigger and I was looking to put more muscle on, not realizing my body did not want to do that. Um, so that's kind of how it started with the IFBB.
Yeah, you kind of remind me of this other guest that I had. Her name is Jessica Hetcher. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing her name right, but she was she's a bikini competitor and she looked like she could be in figure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
cause
It just, I had competed at North Americans because for a couple of years in physique and figure. And, just because in Canada, to go pro, I would have to be competing in the 35 and over, which is considered masters here.
yeah,
So to get a pro card is almost impossible at my age now. I'm in my 50s. So for me to go up against a 35-year-old is absolutely insane. So the really only way to go pro for me was to go the American way, North Americans. So it was one show a year. I had one shot a year. And, like I said, I was doing women's physique and figure. And then I think I placed fifth in figure a couple years back. And I got the pictures back, and I was looking at the top five, and I was looking at my build, and something just clicked in me. And I said, you know what? My body type just kind of looks more bikini to me. My legs are smaller,
yeah,
so after some thought, I thought about it for a while and thought, you know what, I'm gonna try bikini. And
yeah,
I thought it would be a lot easier, but the posing was quite hard to master because I was coming from two categories that is more like a hard posing, whereas bikini you're not really flexing anything. So thankfully, I have a really good posing coach here, out of St. Catharines, which is about 20 minutes from me, Mindy O'Brien. And she was my first posing coach back when I was doing physique and figure, and she's been with me posing through my whole journey. So that's been great. But, yeah, quite a transition.
yeah. It's like you almost did the Goldilocks thing. Well, this part was
Yeah,
just too hot. This part was too
right.
cold. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And this one's just right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got a special guest all the way, George Page. Hey, folks, what's up, George? He
Hi,
says,
George.
Michelle, I hope you and your boy had a good time. Yeah,
Yeah, we had a great time. We had a
yeah.
great time. And go ahead.
No, no, I was about to say, I seen Andrea Shaw and I seen with Michelle Moon. I remember she had like this the outfit. I don't know if you're familiar with Michelle Moon, but
Not really. No, I know Andrea Shaw.
yeah. She's a new IFBB. I think
Oh, okay.
she's what fig no women's physique. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the women they represented well and
Yeah,
even though that they couldn't compete there, but
I
yeah,
know. I know.
yeah,
It's too bad. Like it's yeah, I guess it's a whole political thing and whatever, but maybe one day when Arnold is, when he's not running it so much anymore, maybe they'll bring it in, maybe they'll bring it back. Who knows? I
yeah,
hope they do. I really hope they do.
yeah.
Because I
Do
do have a
you?
lot of bodybuilding friends that are women
Yeah.
and compete, and yeah, it would. I mean, they shouldn't be excluded.
Do you care too much about the politics in bodybuilding, or you just like you?
Um, I I try not to get too political these days in any
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
During COVID, obviously that's when I actually started paying attention to politics. But I've kind of learned just to do my thing, keep my opinions. I mean, people know where I stand for the most part, but you're not going to change anybody's mind on a lot of things as far as the bodybuilding world. Again, unless I'm able to really change something and it's something I strongly need to fight for, then I'm up for the fight 1,000%. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes in the world it just is what it is, and that's the
yeah.
way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back with the piggyback on you. You was in a fit model division in that in your first organization that you
Yeah.
competed in. Like, how was
Yeah.
that?
Um it was very different than it is today. So they
Yeah,
had I think it was even like 3 rounds, or maybe 2 rounds. It was like a full piece. Don't think I did a bikini back then. I think it was like one full piece and then like an evening gown round. I don't even remember what the posing was like, but it wasn't like the fit model posing is today.
yeah,
And it was more just it was like a model search type thing. So they were looking supposedly for like a toned female beach body, just an overall good look, more to be in like the magazine type of thing. So it's definitely evolved a lot. And again, it wasn't with the IFBB, it was a different federation, but it was a good start. Like it was a great way to kind of get your feet wet and know if competing was for you, because, a lot of people want to compete, but then they get into it and it's not for them,
yeah,
which is fine. But, you don't know until you're in it if it's really for you or not. And then I just kind of had the bug. I always had the bug for it. I used to go attend the Toronto Pro Show way back in the day when it used to be at the Metro Convention Center in Toronto, before SARS. Um, so we used to go to that, and all the big boys were there, the fitness women, a lot of the women from the magazines. Robert Kennedy would come, who was with Oxygen and Muscle Mag, of course. And the athletes would walk through the crowd, with their tans and their hard toned bodies, and I would just be like, oh, I would love to be that. I would love to look like that and be able to do that and be an athlete. And I think that was a lot of the calling for me too, was just to be recognized as an athlete. For me was something. So yeah, I just kind of went for it.
yeah, yeah. Back in the day, I remember looking at people like athletes, like in magazines and stuff like that. I think that started a little bit like went to your. I think you and your mother went to a gym and then started seeing
Yes.
athletes and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So way back, when I would say like a child, probably like
Right.
12 years old,
Yeah.
my mom would take me to the gym with her. Maybe I wasn't even 12 because I probably wasn't old enough to stay at home alone. That's why she was bringing me. Maybe I was 10. And I remember just, I would get bored. So I would wander around the gym, and I ended up downstairs of the gym, and there was the weightlifting room. There was few women back then because we're talking like probably early 80s. um so more women were into like Jane Fonda's kind of fitness, and they didn't want big muscles. So it was all more kind of body weight exercises because, women didn't want to get bulky, although we know they're not going to get bulky. Um, but yeah, I would look through the window and saw the pictures on the wall and the weights and the guys that were working out, and I was just like, wow, I would love to try that. So
Yeah, I kind of discovered that like in the 90s. You went in
yeah.
the 80s. Yeah. You're not
Yeah.
that far, you're not that far older than me. I'm 49. So
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. You ever passed like you ever like earlier you said that you was competing with the younger girls. Was there like a point where somebody thought that you was younger than your age?
Um, well, I actually, so when I started, like in order to get my pro card here, I
Yeah.
would have to compete against the 35-year-olds, which I think the youngest I competed, well, I was probably 40. I think I did the 45 and over when I started, but I was around that age. So I've always liked to stay in my lane. And I know there's some women my age that do compete in the 45 and over in the States, and even the 40 and over. But I prefer to stay in my lane. This year I turned 55 in May, so
What?
I'm not. Yeah,
55?
I know, I know. It's just a number. Um, so I'll be competing in the 55 and over, and I would like to do the 50 and over as well, but I just got my pro card, like I got the membership. So I'm able to go into the shows and see the cost now of registration, and it's
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
high. And in American dollars, obviously, it's double for me, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'll see about like two categories will cost me, oh my gosh, somewhere between like $500 to $700. So one category is about 200 American. So I may just end up doing the one. I'm not sure, but the youngest I would compete against right now is 50 and over, I think.
Wow, that's
That's
impressive.
kind of,
Like I didn't really think that you was 55. I'm like, wow, you
well,
I mean
54, not yet, couple months.
I mean I do see it a little bit, but not as much.
Yeah,
Like some
yeah,
pictures, but it's like I
yeah,
wouldn't think that you was that age. Wow. They talk about
yeah.
black don't crack. Wow. Okay. Well, it's
Well, my skin is definitely showing it, and
yeah.
I don't do the Botox and the filler and all that stuff,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
good.
all out there. But
That's
yeah,
That's good. With fitness, like you do like photos and all that stuff, photo shoots. Like
yeah.
did you always have confidence to do that?
No. So
Oh,
that's actually a really good question because back in the day, in the it would be the early 90s,
yeah.
because I grew up in Toronto. So Muscle Mag magazine, their headquarters was by Toronto Airport, which
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
wasn't too far. Like it was easy enough to get to. So they would have athletes come all the time, like Jay Cutler and Trish Stratus, and athletes like that would come and do signings. So it would draw people into the store because they actually had a brick and mortar store there with clothing and some supplements and like things that you would like wrist straps and belts and things like that. So Robert Kennedy would have these athletes come in from all over, usually from the States and Canada, and they would do autograph signings. So I went to one of them, and one of the guys that was attached with Robert Kennedy approached me and gave me Robert's card and said, "Would you be interested in doing a test shoot with Robert?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like I had just started training back then. So I
Mm.
was probably about 25, and I didn't have my implants yet, and I didn't know much about working out. Like I was pretty new, but it was like, oh my God, I look at these women and I want to be them. I want to be in a magazine. So I took the card and I'm like, yes, of course. And he was like, well, do you think a couple weeks would be good for you to, get in shape for a shoot? And I'm like, oh yeah. Meanwhile, I know nothing. And my one of my big regrets I never called because I was too insecure.
Mm,
I talked myself out of it. I got home and I had the card and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to diet properly." There was no coaches to reach out to like there is today. I was
yeah,
alone, so it was like I know I just weeks went by and I never called. So I feel I feel now that it's kind of my do-over. So that's why I'm full throttle now because I feel like that opportunity that was missed so many years ago, I'm getting a chance to kind of make up for it now. So I made it into a magazine last year and I got my pro card and I'm like, who it's not many people that get that second chance.
yeah,
I have goosebumps right now because
yeah,
I'm like I'm getting that chance. I'm so grateful. I'm so lucky that I'm going to do whatever I can to just keep it going and enjoy every minute of it and take it for its full advantage. Like whatever I can get now, I'm open to.
yeah.
So yeah,
I guess that's a blessing because it's not
yeah,
easy. From what I know, it's not easy competing, and some people take them decades to get a
yeah,
pro card, or
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah,
was really lucky because once I did the switch to bikini, it took me like 2 years. So
yeah,
that's, I mean, in the scope of it all, yes, it was a very long journey from, when I started in 99 to 2024.
yeah,
But really, years competing, I started, like I said, in 2017, not in bikini. Bikini wasn't even a thing back then.
right,
So yeah, like just yeah, lucky and blessed and yeah, things
yeah,
just I'm a big believer in if you're on the right path, then things should flow and just come fairly easy. Like one thing kind of leads to another. And
yeah,
when I started competing again, that was kind of happening. Opportunities were coming up at the right time, and I thought, okay, I'm back on the right path now. So I just keep going.
yeah. Well, all the Red George page says back then too many women were scared of lifting weights. They might become Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's a
Yeah.
myth. I mean, yeah, a lot of
That's kind
women.
of what I was saying. I remember being in a gym. I live in Niagara Falls, Ontario now, and I
Yeah,
remember being in like one of the fancier gyms, probably about 15 years ago, maybe. And some woman walking by me with her trainer, and I heard her comment, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to look like that," because I
yeah,
was quite muscular back then and in my head, I was thinking, you never will. and and I took it as the biggest compliment because I thought, you know what? I've achieved my goal because I didn't want to look like everybody else either. So,
yeah. What
so
was it moments that it could be discouraging at first? I mean, at times.
I'm sorry.
No, it like when people make comments like that,
Oh,
like what was there moments
no,
where it
it
no
actually motivated me more
okay.
so. And I always, instead of people asking, do you go to the gym? I always wanted them to ask, what gym do you go to? Because I didn't want to look like, oh, well, does she work out? I always wanted to look like I worked out. I wanted to look like the girls in the magazine with
Yeah,
not the softer bikini look. I loved that fitness, like Monica Brands, that look. A little bit of the harder, muscular look has always appealed to me. So that was always the look I was kind of striving for.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, if there was negative comments like that, I take it as a compliment because I'm like, okay, I'm looking how I want to look.
yeah. I mean, I would say like back in your day, people were curious. They were like intimidated because like I started kind of paying attention to them more like in the '90s, early '90s, '92, and
Hmm.
like it wasn't something that kind of like broadcast to people. It was like more your personal thing. If
Right.
somebody caught me like looking at it, it's like they ain't gonna live to this day. That's how. That's that. what I was thinking, like, not that I would kill him or nothing, but it
Yeah.
was like it was real secretive, But
Yes.
some
Yeah.
people they would comment a bit about it, a little bit, that I like the muscle women, but it wasn't so much of a big deal. But
Yeah.
at times, I
Yeah.
I would show them, and people would get me like heads and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like there's this stigma around it. And it's like, oh, if you like a muscular woman, there's something wrong with you, and you really just want to be with a man, like, something stupid
yeah,
like that, especially with
yeah,
the bodybuilding women,
yeah,
which yeah, it's just ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah. Or, oh, if you work out, like, my mom and my sister used to bug me a lot because when I was a little bit more muscular, they didn't like it. And I would
yeah,
always hear about it. Oh, you're getting too muscular now and you should tone it down a little bit. And I'm thinking, but I'm not doing it to please you. And I am happy and good with the way I look. So don't worry about it. But they
yeah.
didn't like it because it was too manly.
Yeah, I hear a
So
lot of stories about that. Like,
yeah.
like especially from relatives that they don't
Mhm.
really approve of,
Yeah.
you women, being muscular and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, for my mom, she's, God bless her, she's in her 80s now. So, and she grew up, like I said, kind of in the Jane Fonda, well, even before that, but when
yeah,
she was exercising, it was more like the Jane Fonda workouts. And she would teach, she actually taught aerobics classes, but the women didn't know back then that it's so important to be building muscle,
yeah,
that you
yeah,
need it later in life. And then my mom regretted it later,
yeah,
and she would be asking me for help in the gym for me to show her how to lift weights properly, because she has a little bit of the osteoporosis now.
right,
And she was a runner for many, many years. So
mm,
her knees are bad now, and it started with her back. There was, it's hard, the pounding all the time. So she does regret not lifting weights more. But I mean, she still doesn't like that overly muscular look for females.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
now
I
that
kind of understand. Not to cut you off, but I mean, I kind of understand because it don't want to be a point where it's really too extreme, because
right.
it'd be to a point where you couldn't tell if differ differentiate a man and a woman at times, because they
Right.
are some bodybuilders, they do look kind of manly, and
Yes.
that I mean, like, and it's vice versa too. Like, there's men that look feminine, like they look like
Yeah.
women, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
know the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be. There's extremes to it. So
Yeah, and I honestly, I can see how it could happen, to be honest, because I mean, my body, like I said, just probably wouldn't even allow me to get that big, even with the heaviest of drugs available. But I could see how you do, and I know I have body dysmorphia,
right,
so I can see how it would, like, you start getting muscle and you just want more. You want more and
right,
more, and you get the comments, and that kind of keeps you going because you're like, okay, I'm achieving my goal. This, I don't want to look like 98% of the population, 99% of the population. I want to look different, and I want to be different, and I want to stand out, and I want to do my own thing, and have my own brain. But so I can see how you kind of lose sight, and you get that body dysmorphia where you think you're not big.
oh, okay. I think she got cut off. Yeah, I'm gonna read your chat, George. We was really in the conversation. I don't know what happened. Uh, Master shows are going more in the last few years. Like, sometimes about the right time and place. I think her phone, something wrong with her phone. The Gym Bros. Okay.
Um, oh, there we go. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. Let me read the comments. Master shows
Mute the volume.
are going more in the last few days.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you for a minute because my phone rang.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm back.
Said, They said master shows are going more in the last few years. Life sometimes about the right time and place. The gym bros, do you lift, bro? And he also said, hey, I don't turn on by no buff dudes. It may not be the 80s, but I'm down with the ladies. Yeah, yeah, there's times, I've drew like female bodybuilders, and people would look at it and they would look at me kind of strange. And so, there's moments where you don't want the world to see you, like have that interest at times. But
Hmm.
then it's like I noticed that a lot of women on social media is working out. They're becoming
Hmm.
bodybuilders, but it's
Yeah.
like the ordinary people, they just kind of like don't care about like knowing about bodybuilding, or just you know they just don't like the idea of women with muscles and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. And then the same with women. I know a lot of women that don't like muscular men. And I
yeah.
mean, as far as I'm concerned, I prefer muscle. But I know the majority of females prefer like a dad bod to a muscular build, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like fit bodies.
Yeah. Like what how do you work out like in the gym? Like I mean like what's like your favorite workout, or like what do you do like preparing for a show?
So I guess I used to love training shoulders because I
Yeah.
just always wanted, bigger shoulders. And then now it's more, my workouts are more glute focused. So I mean, things don't change too much from prep to like off season. Um, I try and stay close to my stage weight year round. Um, so I still kind of do an old school bodybuilding type split training. So usually Sunday is my heavy glute day, and then Monday is like a shoulder day. Tuesday is usually like a light arm day because I don't want to get too much bigger on top. So I'll do buys and tries on Tuesday. Wednesday is usually, it can just be a cardio day. Sometimes it's a back day. And then I put in another glute leg day, usually Thursday, but a little lighter. And then Friday is usually just cardio. Saturday, it depends. I usually have posing on Saturdays. So sometimes that's just another cardio day. And then back to Sunday, another heavy glute leg day. So I'm very old school because that's the background I learned from and come from. So I stick a lot to that because, like I said, that's what I know, and I know that's what works. Um, yeah, and I keep a lot, like this year, I've kept a lot of cardio in. Firstly, because it's kind of selfish. I enjoy it. um,
Yeah.
so I'm trying because I know I'll be in like I'm hoping to be in a full prep soon. So I am starting to cut back a little bit on the cardio, and then, of course, being able to ramp it up again. So, again, because I've stayed probably 5 to 6 pounds within my stage weight this year. So, yeah, hopefully I've grown enough. So we'll find out.
What
But
what do you do for cardio? What do you like to do for
I do
cardio?
the Stairmaster. I'm addicted to it.
Okay.
So yeah, I hated it in the beginning. But I love it. I actually look so forward to it. And I start with my cardio, which for years I did weights and then my cardio, but just the way my schedule is with work and everything, when I got into my prep 2 years ago, I was getting a lot of cardio from my coach back then. And so I had to make it work. So I started putting my cardio in before my weight training. So now I actually look at my cardio as the warm up because by
Mm-hmm.
the time I'm ready to hit the weights, I'm sweating. my body's warm and I feel good. And I still have energy. I do intermittent fasting. So I train fasted. But I have tons of energy. I'm training right out of bed. Um, so it seems to work for me. And that was another coach that I had kind of introduced me to the intermittent fasting. And that's what I like. I'm coaching myself right now for the past, well, even before I got my pro card into that prep into my pro card. So about 2 years, I've had no coach. Um, but my other coach got me into the fasting. The other one kind of got me into the stepper. So I pull from each coach I've had. A lot of people like to, talk negative about past coaches and, oh, they didn't do this or this and that. But I like to try and turn everything negative into a positive. So I look back and I'm like, actually, I pulled some knowledge from each coach I had, and that's how I work today. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. What kind of how are you better now than before when you was competing?
Sorry, what was
No, like how are you better? Like how has you improved now than you were before when you was competing and then you stopped? If I could ask you that question.
like way back in the 90s?
Yes.
Oh
Like
my
what?
gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, so back then, like I said, I was just, I mean, you're always learning, but
Yeah.
I didn't know as much obviously as I know today. So
Yeah.
my body's definitely transformed. As far as like the PED side of things, because obviously that had to become a factor at some point. So I trained natural up until I guess 1990. No, it would be 2000 or maybe 1999.
Okay.
So I trained a good 6 years, like just natural. I felt like I kind of hit my potential, and I was very discouraged because I didn't look how I imagined I should be looking by then. And I was, like I said, I was looking at the magazines, looking at their bodies, and I'm like, why don't I look like that? And yes, it was a lot of the wrong diet. My training was always good because I learned it out of the magazines. And I mean, training is training, but it's 90% what you're eating. So I think my diet wasn't good as well. But then in 99, I thought, okay, I want more. So I tried my first thing and my body immediately responded. And it was nothing, obviously, it was nothing heavy. And I just got a little more toned, a little bit leaner, and I just loved where it was going. So my body's definitely transformed that way. Um, and I mean, I've been able, they call it bodybuilding because you're able to build the body that you would like. So I feel now that I'm kind of like, I used to look in the mirror, like a lot of people, male, female, and you don't like what you see.
Yeah.
So now I look in the mirror and I'm actually pretty, like, it's never enough. You're never good enough. You're always
Right.
striving for better. But I like what I see. Like, I like what I've achieved so far.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
obviously,
you.
I see the imperfections too,
Yeah.
but
It can be
yeah.
difficult being your own coach.
Yeah.
So you're a fitness trainer. That's
So
like your. Um.
my primary job, I'm an assistant manager
Oh,
at
okay.
Popeye Supplements. It's a Canadian company, and I've been there for 5 years. So that's my full time. I have had jobs, personal training out of gyms. I've been certified for it. Right now I'm doing a little coaching, online coaching, because that's kind of the way things are going these days, and I
Yeah.
prefer it because, like I said, when I was in the gym doing personal training with people, you're limited because you're kind of. I was working for the gym, and then I'm not a certified nutritionist, so you're not really allowed to do meal planning for them through the company.
Right. Yeah.
because it's liability and all that. So there's really, it's hard to change somebody if their diet isn't changing. So it's frustrating for you, frustrating for them, and then they don't listen half the time to what, you tell them to do at home. So it was very frustrating. I like working in the
Yeah.
supplement store because
Yeah.
I'm able to give advice, and we have a lot of repeat customers. So I'm able to kind of, if they're progressing, watch them progress, and and if they're not listening or following little tips I've given them, then we can talk about it. So it's kind of cool. Like I can help people that way, but I definitely want to get more into the online coaching, um,
Yeah.
because I do really enjoy that. And I have a few people I'm coaching now, and I have my first, excuse me, I have my first fit model competitor. She's never competed before. We work together. She's like my best friend. She's the manager
Yeah.
of the store, and she's doing her first competition in May. So, and I'm coaching her. So we're pretty excited, and she's been doing incredible. So we'll see how
What's her name?
she does. Stephanie.
Stephanie. Oh, okay. Is
Yeah.
she here in your Instagram or?
I should have some pictures with her. I was her maid of honor. She just got married in the summertime, and I
Oh,
was her maid of
okay.
honor. And actually, her wedding was the weekend before North Americans. So I think being the maid of honor, I think the distraction for me was actually good because I wasn't
Mm.
able to get too much in my head about the show because we were so focused on the wedding. So, um, yeah, my phone's up there, so I should have some pictures with her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm sure the best. Like, I mean, cause I know people kind of like they don't really have too much positive things to say about the fit. I know you, but the fit model division. So
Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's easy to kind of diss on other categories. And when I told friends of mine, because coming from physique and figure, it's a different animal. So when I mentioned to a couple of
right.
my friends that are in those categories, they kind of laughed and they're like, "Oh, they thought I was joking." And I'm like, "No, I'm serious." And I remember them saying, "Oh, you don't want to do that," and because we would make fun of the bikini girls. It's like, oh, they just work their glutes and it's all about their butts. But it's, we work with what we have genetically. So genetically, that's just my build. And I stuck to my guns, and they respected it, obviously. And it's just kind of more like a fun kind of thing it's not like, oh, we don't like the bikini girls, but now being a bikini girl, it's amazing. And I'm so blessed that so far, and I don't want to curse it, but I haven't had a negative experience competing, whether it be in women's physique, figure, or bikini. The women have been absolutely incredible. I've made friends that we still, chat back and forth through social media. They're in the States, I'm here, they're in another part of Canada, and we keep in touch. There's a lady, Candace McCool, who I met at North. I would watch her YouTube, and she just brought her YouTube channel back. So if you guys want to tune into that, she's in a prep for fit model. She was doing bikini. She's in, I think she's in Louisiana. She's gonna kill me because off the top of my head now, it's not coming to me. But she is in the States. But we've kept in touch. I saw her on YouTube. We connected through that, and then I knew she was going to be at North Americans, so we met in person at North Americans, and now we still chat back and forth. And like I've made so many friends, and made so many great connections through it that I love it.
That's good. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to have friends and stuff. Like,
Hmm.
what your family like? Your son or your husband? I know they. I'm assuming that they go to your shows, right?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
my son, when I did my shows prior, I have a picture of him, like this big. He was bored to tears at my show
Mm.
years ago. And now he's thinking of competing in May. So,
That's cool.
and we went to the Arnold the past 2 years. He came with us. And
Yeah.
well, this year it was just me, and his girlfriend and myself, like I said. Um,
Okay.
but he's really into bodybuilding now. So my husband, when we met, that's kind of why we hit it off. We were both very hard into training.
Yeah,
My husband still trains. He has done one show back in, I guess it was 2020 or 2021 in the heat of COVID. So he got the regional show done, and then the nationals canceled because of COVID. Like the
yeah,
day of the show, it canceled. So he's never really gotten the full experience of being in a show because they were wearing the mask and they couldn't be in the same room together getting ready. So he kind of got ripped off because he didn't get the full experience.
yeah,
Um, whether he does another show or not, I don't know. He works obviously too, so he can work long hours and it's tough, but you really have to have that drive and that passion, and I can't live without it. So
yeah. I mean, you look great. Just looking at your physique. Yeah, look.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, how far do you see yourself like just competing? Because competing
yeah,
itself is not very easy. Like just
right.
like just not but prepping and dry food that you usually would like and like how do you see yourself just competing? Far,
Yeah,
I mean,
so I give myself, I mean, I've seen the women in the shows, the pros,
yeah,
up to like 60, and they look amazing. So I'm
yeah,
hoping to get a good 5 years at least.
yeah,
Any more is bonus. Um, but yeah, if I can compete till I'm 60, if I can compete till I'm 65, I'll keep
yeah,
going as long as my body allows me.
yeah,
Once my body, says enough, I'm going to pay attention because it's been good to me. So,
yeah,
yeah, as long as I can do it. And that's the thing. I know the window isn't big for me. So that's why I kind of have to take advantage of everything now. And, whatever opportunities I get, I can't pass them up because they're not coming again.
yeah,
The
yeah.
younger girls, their whole thing is, oh, this stage will always be there. And for me, it will not. So I need to do things now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You also have like a YouTube channel, Misfit 1575. If I'm not mistaken, that's the name of it, right?
The YouTube?
Yeah, yeah, your YouTube channel.
Yes, I think it's Misfit 5.
Oh,
I
okay, Misfit.
yeah. I think it's the 5. You know what? I haven't been on it in quite some time, but I
Yeah.
am going to be reviving it. So I hope to revive it in the next month. It like this month, I want to start doing vlogs again. My son vlogs, so he's really into cars as well. So he's had a YouTube car channel that he was actually
Okay.
monetized.
Yeah.
But now he is kind of transitioning a little bit more into bodybuilding on his
Yeah.
channel. So yeah, I have him to kind of show me the ropes because I don't know how
Yeah.
to edit. So I need help in editing. That's what's kind of holding me back right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
How do
once
you
I
make them
master
other
that,
videos? I'm sorry. How do you make them other videos that you did? Because I seen you like you I think you was prepping or you
yeah,
probably just recorded yourself or something like that.
yeah, I just used my phone and they were unedited.
Yeah.
And if I made a mistake, I just re-recorded it. And yeah, so not great, but it was
You,
it was during COVID, so things were a little more relaxed and there was just a little more time to do those things. I was
yeah.
working, but just not I wasn't managing the store or anything, so it was a little easier. So it's also time management. I have to find the time to do the vlogging. And it's hard for me in the gym because I get so into my workout that I don't want to have to pop a camera out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna have to, learn to balance that and have maybe one day a week where I
How
do
long you
that.
had it? The channel.
Since I think 2020, I think
Okay.
2020 I started it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a while. It's a while. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I mean, son could be. I mean, he's a younger generation. I'm sure he could help you. But you could
Yeah.
also like go to like tutorials. Like there's like tutorials on Adobe. They have some like with some
Learning.
softwares. Yeah, software on editing and stuff like that. You can get
Yeah,
like some Adobe softwares. Yeah. Would
yeah,
it
because I
be?
have to master that. Because the videos have to, catch your attention. Otherwise, people just tune out if it's boring. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's a different age now because it's not like body like bodybuilding like people not people can't see the magazines.
Hmm.
It's not like promoted as like how it was before, like like in the newsstands. I would see like on bodybuilding magazines and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the cover
To
would catch, like we have the Inside Fitness here in Canada. So
Right.
like the cover, catches you. And then this was the first, well, it's the only first and only magazine so far that I'm in. They have the 100 Hot and Fit in Canada. So I got into that, thanks to the photographer, Ryan Lomer, who we
Yeah.
shot together in Vegas. And, but yeah, I mean, it catches your eye. So it's just you walk by and it makes you want to buy it. Whereas, yeah, YouTube, people have to, either search you up or you got to pay money for you yourself to come up on the, algorithms and whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of bodybuilders they have a YouTube channel, but it's not really big like that. And
Mm.
maybe some do have like a podcast. You ever thought
Yeah.
about doing your own podcast or something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'd like to do that. Um, so I'm hoping to start that as well. So I'll see kind of how the channel does, and then if there's interest for a podcast, I'll do that, or maybe vice versa. Because myself, I mean, I hardly watch TV anymore because I'm just on YouTube all the time watching videos
right,
and listening to podcasts, and I love it. So I find though a lot of people my age don't really take advantage of it. Like they don't watch it, I don't think, as much as I do. So it is a younger generation thing. So in my head, I always talk myself out of it because I'm like, well, who's going to be watching it? But then when I'm in the store and just in general, kind of chatting with people, I think people would watch it and be interested if they knew it was there. And they're like, I know for myself, I would love if another woman my age, that was a pro or even an amateur coming up would have a channel because I would be tuned in all the time. Like I would love to watch it. So I'm thinking there has to be women that would watch me. So
right, right. I'm
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. So there's moments I do watch some of the women with their podcasts a bit, but I'll look at the guy podcast a little bit more for some reason. I
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
sure.
Yeah,
Well, you relate more. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
what George got to say? Congratulations, officially getting your pro status.
Yes, thank you. $428 later, Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I watch more on YouTube than TV. When I do watch TV, it's cartoons and old TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
TV sucks.
What do you do like outside of working out and stuff? What do you do to relax?
My downtime honestly is just watching movies. YouTube and movies. I'm very boring. Yeah, other than the bodybuilding, I don't really have many other hobbies, I guess.
You don't play sports or nothing like that?
No, I was never I used to love watching baseball. We were
Okay.
big baseball fans and my son played baseball um for many years. Yeah, I was never really into sports myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played basketball, but I wasn't really good. I just kept playing, like
Yeah.
be consistent, and I would work
Yeah.
out to do calisthenics and pull ups and handstand, all that
Yeah.
crazy stuff. I just meditation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, so yeah.
Yeah. I just love watching movies and relax, like chilling. Netflix and chill, I guess.
Yeah. Is there like a competitor? Do you like to watch a current competitor?
So I do like watching the bikini, like obviously the Arnold just had all the bikini women, so I
Yeah,
do like watching the pros. Um, so obviously I like Jen Dory and Laura Lee, and Dory isn't competing this year, but I think Laura Lee is, or yeah, I think she is this year. Um, yeah, just honestly, like any bikini competitor, I will tune in and watch right now.
how would you want to see like the sport improve is like in the future, like in terms of the divisions?
So I'm actually really happy with the way bikini's going right now. It
Yeah.
seems like they are going for um, a little bit more muscle and a little bit of a harder look. It seems like. So I like that. I think that Fit Model will kind of help that. Because I don't, especially at my age, like I don't want to have to compromise muscle. I've worked so hard for every little bit of muscle I have. I hate to have to want to, be told, well, your shoulders are too big. You need to tone them down. So thankfully, I haven't heard that feedback yet. So I'm hoping not to. Um, yeah, I like the way things are going right now. And like I said, with Fit Model coming in, I think it's a good thing for bikini, because it can allow the bikini girls to be a little bit bigger and a little bit harder. And I don't think there's a problem with that. I like that look. Like I said, so if you want to be, a little smoother and softer, there's Fit Model. If you want to be a little harder and a little bit bigger, you've got bikini. So I like that.
Yeah, well, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. I really
Yeah, thank
appreciate it.
you.
Yeah, I don't want to take you hostage, but yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, this is a wrap, folks. Thank all of Ray George Page with the comments, and best of luck to you. Like
Thank you so
is
much.
there do you have like an upcoming show or anything
Uh,
like that this year?
I haven't picked show yet. I'm looking at maybe something in Florida in June, maybe St.
Okay.
Petersburg. I'm not sure, but as soon as I do, I'll be putting something on Instagram. So yeah, and just money and everything I need to kind of sort out, flights and things like that. So there's a lot of logistics. But once I figure it out, which will be soon, um, I will definitely put it on my Instagram or YouTube. So
All right. All
yeah,
right. Good luck, Michelle.
thank you so much.
All right. See you later.
Okay. All right, thanks.